It's Ronald Acuña Day for those who celebrate. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is out. We have tons of closer chaos, as always. Here to help us break it down is RotoWire's Ryan Rufe. Coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to RotoWire Fantasy, not RotoWire Fantasy Sports Today, but the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Jeff Erickson, here with RotoWire's Ryan Rufe. He runs our closers grid. You can read him on the Closer Encounters article that's up on RotoWire. And he's doing a series of articles breaking down his travels through the NFBC Main Event and his initial foray into that. Ryan, happy Thursday. How you doing?
Happy Thursday. Thanks for having me, Jeff. I'm excited to join you again. It's been about a year since I joined you last, so almost to the date. So
I know. That's right. Although you got a cameo appearance in our Labor cast, too.
I did. That's true. That's true.
Jump in on that. So that was good. Happy Acuña Day for those who celebrate. I do not have him in leagues this year because I was that guy that was saying, oh, he's going too soon. He's going too soon. Hey, turns out he wasn't going too soon. He was running in the minors. He was playing the field. He's back today. He's batting leadoff. I'm so excited to see him, though. Even if I don't have him on my watch, I'm still very happy to see him.
Me too. It's and the Braves need him. I mean, they're currently in the bottom half of the league offensively, 229 average. So his return is going to be a nice boost. Just lost Eddie Rosario for 8 to 12 weeks. Adam Duvall's struggling offensively, and they're playing Travis Demeritte recently. Don't have much depth in the outfield behind there. So Orlando Arcia, Guillermo Heredia probably aren't regulars. So the fact that Acuña's back, stealing, on his rehab, he had like a 6.11 OBP through his 6 rehab games, 3 for 3 on the bases. So it's really awesome.
Not a lot of power so far, but everything else is good, and the power is coming. So I'm not even worried about that. We saw it in batting practice. We've seen it in life before. It's not like he's that the knee injury is going to take away from his power. So we'll see. Offense is way down. It's in a continuing theme. Just as a sign of that, Sean Davis chimes in. Martin Perez has a perfect game through 6. Verlander's given up 1 hit. Yeah, the ball's just not flying right now.
Yeah, when Martin Perez is, no hitting the Astros, may have a little bit deeper issue here.
Yeah, no Kyle Tucker in today's game. He's getting a day off, no injury there. Tucker's actually started to come through a little bit there. I'm heavily invested in Kyle Tucker, so I wasn't going to. There's no opportunity for the buy low because I pretty much already have him.
Yeah, I have a few shares too, so I'm happy to see him turn things around. Start turning things around.
Yeah. Let's talk about a couple other big news items before we jump into closer talk. We're already seeing some more closer-worthy information today, but we'll get to that momentarily. But besides Acuña, we saw the bad news on Alberto Montecy, out for the season, torn ACL, presumably out for the season. I'm assuming he is out for the season. That's something that usually takes about a year to recover from. So I doubt we see him back this year. And he was off to a terrible start. He was running. That was the one thing he was doing. He's going to go a lot later next year. We know this.
Yep. Yeah, we knew better. But sure benefits Nicky Lopez, Kyle Isbell, who I've been a big fan of, actually traded for Isbell on the RotoWire staff league before our auction.
Oh, that's right. You did with Peter, right?
Yeah, I was hoping he would just get some more playing time, and hopefully this opens the door for him. But I have to imagine Edward Olivares will get some time too. Both players had really fantastic springs.
They did.
So I think this kind of opens the door for both of them to get some more at bats.
It does. Although both rode the shuttle last year, we'll see. I've got Olivares in one league. In AL Tout Wars, and I think they made the rule about limiting the number of times you can get sent up and sent down just based off that.
Just for him, yeah. And Mitch White too is the other one.
That's right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Looking at a couple of other things from the Royals, Whit Merrifield has like 2 runs scored so far this year. Bobby Witt Jr. is slumping. Mondesi was slumping. Carlos Santana was slumping. There's a lot of people on the Kansas City struggle bus right now.
Yeah, that it's frustrating. Especially if you're counting on Witt for all those at bats. Hurting your batting average, not running too much yet. I think he has a couple steals, but Carlos Santana was another one I really targeted heavily, especially in draft champions leagues, which are the 50 round draft and holds, deeper 15 team formats, and it's just you can't even sniff hitting the ball at this point. So it'll be interesting to see if they turn things around, though, especially Witt, just because the talent is just so immense.
It is, and Witt does have 3 stolen bases, so he's up to 200, so he's got that going for him. But it's something to watch a little bit closer there to see how much that happens. The Royals, as alluded to by Sean, says that Michael Kopech's walking a bunch of guys today. He's got 4 walks, a couple of those from Nicky Lopez batting leadoff, and then Carlos Santana, the other 2. That's the one thing he has doing. He's hitting 109, but he's got a 305 OPP. So wrap your head around that one for a second there. But
he's pretty consistent with more walks than strikeouts in a year. I'm not really sure how he's doing this year, but he's that was his one claim to fame. So
the one Royal that's not slumping is Andrew Benintendi. He has 2 hits today, a double and 2 RBIs. He's up to 400 right now with a 431 OVP. It's not a ton of power, but man, he is locked in.
Yeah, and they're hitting him, middle of the order. Should have a lot of RBI opportunities there. So, it'll be interesting to see, what his power looks like at the end of the year. At 20 home runs back with Boston in 2017, but hasn't eclipsed that mark this year or yet since then. So, definitely one of the, big prospects back in the day. Hopefully, the 2020 debut rookie season. So, not sure he'll run as much after last year. He got caught more than he stole last year. So, but good to see him, hitting the ball well. A lot of RBI opportunities, at least, even if it doesn't come with a ton of power or steals.
Right. The Royals, they have prospects in the pipeline: MJ Melendez, Vinny Pasquantino, Nick Prado. James Anderson likes Pasquantino better than Prado, so that's why I mentioned him in that order. We'll probably see those guys at some point this season. Although the Royals, they do have to try to stay in touch with the leaders in the division. That's the one thing that could, pump the brakes on that a little bit, is if they fall out of touch.
Yeah, Melendez is interesting too. I think he's off to a little bit of a slow start. Yeah, he was another one I think I actually drafted in the staff league. So. I imagine, after leading the minor leagues in home runs last year, if he starts, showing signs of life at the plate, they'll give him some opportunity too. So,
yep. The other big name, the non-closer that we want to talk about, is Vlad Guerrero Jr. out of the lineup today. Fouled a ball off his foot. X-rays were negative, but they gave him the day off. Anytime you see that, you worry. In the same game yesterday, Xander Bogaerts fouled a ball off his shin, and he's out of the game today too. The Bogaerts went 4 for 4 after that play, after that foul ball in the at bat. So he's fine, but it is noteworthy seeing a lot of players out on a getaway day game.
Yeah, it's a bummer. He was my first round pick in the main event. So I'm just crossing fingers.
Right.
But,
what spot were you drafting out of?
8th.
Okay.
So, but
that fell a little bit then. That's good.
Yeah. He did fall a little bit, especially in the days before the draft. He was going like 5th. So I wasn't sure I was going to get him, but that was my ideal target there at 8th. But Jays are already reeling offensively with Teoscar Hernandez, Danny Jansen on the IL. Lourdes Gurriel missed the game recently with hamstring issue, but hopefully Vlad gets back in there soon. Right now Bichette's kind of off to a slow start offensively.
Yep.
More pressure on Springer and Bichette if Vlad misses any time.
Bichette did hit the grand slam on Monday, opposite field. He thought it was gone right off the bat, but it didn't really clear by a ton. That's one of the continuing themes. Then he hit a ball on Tuesday night, I think it was, where he hit it like 104.9 miles an hour, and it was a warning track, barely on the warning track fly out there. Seen a lot of that this year. That's just one example. I've been harping on this. I'm going to continue harping on it. That's what I do. I harp.
Do a deep dive, Jeff. You reach out to MLB and let them know. Hey, we're concerned about this.
Yeah. Give us back a happy fun ball. We want happy fun ball. I want it at least. And I want no humidors. I want Coors Field to be 15-14 again. Let them play for 4.5 hours. Who cares? No one complains about a great high-scoring football game, that just takes forever. No one cares about that. Let's have great high-scoring baseball games too.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. Before we get into the closer talk, a quick note from one of our sponsors at Better Edge. Bet against others with no fees involved. That's right. No pesky hidden fees to ruin your day. Better Edge is a social betting marketplace where there's no fee on each transaction. Better Edge is a social betting marketplace, and chances are it's legal in your state. We bring betting back to its social roots where you can like, comment, and challenge other users all within the app. Play without getting played at Better Edge. Go to betteredge.com. That's BETTOREDGE.com to sign up today. Jeff Erickson here with Ryan Rufe. You can follow Ryan on Twitter. I highly recommend doing so at Ryan Rufe, RUFE, as you can see on the streamline right now, the StreamYard if you're watching us right now. Ryan, let's talk some closers. No shortage of transition and conversation there.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year so far. Actually started a new article this season called Closer Encounters. Title was all thanks to you. Appreciate that.
No problem.
So weekly article, I take a look at, different various situations around the league, who's injured, who's performing well, I take a look at usage, things like that. So new Closer Encounters went live on the site early this morning. I went division by division and looked at a few team leaders for saves, holds, K per 9, GMLI, and WPA. So GMLI is a leverage index that basically captures, a pitcher's average leverage index upon entering a game. And WPA is win probability added, just measures how important your pitcher's performance was to winning. So I keep an eye on those metrics to help me identify who's being used in high leverage. Sometimes that uncovers potential closers in waiting. So I went through division by division, team by team, listed the leaders thus far. And again, it's, 10% into the season. And these are small samples we're still working with here. But I found some interesting things. First with the Yankees, they're Jonathan Loaisaitj and Chad Green, who were excellent last season, were nowhere to be found on the leaderboards for the Yankees. Instead it's been Michael King. Clay Holmes has been really good. So I was surprised to see them kind of absent, and they've been struggling a little bit, but Holmes got another save for the Yankees yesterday with Aroldis Chapman getting the night off.
I saw that. Yeah.
So it seems like Holmes and Michael King are kind of stepping into those Green Loaisaitj roles from last year. And, that makes sense. It's such a deep bullpen. So, the Yankees are going to use that, throughout the season. And if these guys are pitching well, they're going to use them. And Holmes has already appeared in 10 games this year. So,
yeah, he has. And, they got him kind of an under the radar trade from the Pirates last season. Just kind of, he stepped in, and it just kind of illustrates though, how hot and cold, how fast closer relievers can burn. They're great, and then they can burn out quickly too.
Right. Exactly. So, so I featured several relievers. I talked about Jorge Lopez's hot start with Baltimore. He mixed up his pitch mix. Basically ditching his fastball and throwing his sinker a lot more, added a ton of velocity. So he's pitching really well. And actually was looking at a few other surprising leaders for a few teams, one being Rafael Montero for the Astros. Now, Ryan Presley's obviously out with a knee injury.
Mm-hmm.
we all rushed to pick up Hector Neris as his short-term replacement for saves, but he hasn't gotten a save yet. Last night, the save went to Ryan Stanek, but I think the save would have gone to Montero if he was available. He's basically kind of been pitching every other day for the Astros,
right?
And he's off to just a fantastic start. He's 14-1 K to walk in I think eight and a third innings. And he has closer experience before. He closed for the Rangers and Mariners. So he's someone I would keep an eye on. Especially if this injury, Presley's injury, kind of lingers on. I know, it was thought he was going to return this week, but then maybe our recent note on him was that absence will be a little bit longer than expected. So keep an eye on Montero. He's been pitching really well.
Yeah, that's right. And I saw that note from Dusty saying that Presley was not going to come back sometime soon. I kind of split the baby in the two leagues where I have Presley. In one league, I activated him. In another league, we have midweek activations. If a guy gets activated, then you can put him in there. You just have to drop someone. So that's Tout Wars. So he stayed on my bench there, or my IL actually, and I actually have Stanek. So I got a little lucky, but that's only because Neris was already previously rostered. Yeah, and the funny thing is, seeing Neris pitch the 8th, that was the tell. Like, oh, okay, that one's kind of out now. But that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was the first save opportunity for the Astros since Presley got hurt over a week ago.
I believe so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Astros have been kind of slumping, and when they do win, they've been winning by a bigger margin. So turns out they just haven't had too many save chances. So we'll see how that holds up in the future here. But something to watch for there. Pittsburgh. Chris Stratton blew a save today while we were talking. As a matter of fact, the Brewers got ahead of him, beat them 3-2 on that one there, or at least they were up 3-2. I don't know if that's the final yet or not, but Stratton had been getting more save chances than Bednar. Bednar had actually been pitching a lot of 8th innings in that Chicago series. That was the case today. Stratton got the loss. Devin Williams actually got the save. Hader had pitched, I think, the last 2 days, maybe even the last 3 days. Hader has 10 saves already, by the way. That's just crazy. But it is a final now. Stratton was pretty good last year. He hasn't been so good this year, and he was definitely not so good today.
Yeah, Hader actually pitched 4 of the last 5 games. So
he'd had to get 10 saves. I mean, we started late in April, and we're still in April.
Right, exactly. And Bednar was the only reliever featured on my latest closer encounters, where he was the team leader for all of the metrics listed.
Okay,
he was, tied for the lead in saves, team leader in holds, K/9 leader, GMLI leader, WPA leader. So he was the only reliever who dominated all 5 categories across the board. He's a stud.
He is.
So, obviously he's worth starting, even though he's in, a timeshare with Stratton, but perhaps this blown save will just kind of, open up more saves for Bednar.
For sure. And, Pittsburgh does have a little bit of a history of not using their young guys as the closer, that they go with this old, boring veteran. Richard Rodriguez was kind of that guy for a while until they traded him. Also they've had more save chances than we've expected. Bednar has 4 holds. I think Stratton's got 4 saves. So they've actually, when they've won, they've actually had some close games. So it's been worth their while. So they've been able to get enough saves. But yeah, this is a setback. So something to watch for there. Marlins. Anthony Bender had pitched the last 2 days. Now this was kind of wild. I know you were paying attention to what was going on in the Nats and Marlins, but Bender got the save, but it wasn't pretty last night.
Yeah. He has 4 saves for the Marlins, but he's been getting hit around pretty well. Remember, he blew his first save of the year. I think it was on Miami's opening day. Has endured 2 losses, so been kind of shaky. Tanner Scott's been shaky too. I know he recently pitched in for a save, but he walked 2 in his last outing. I really do believe this could be Dylan Floro's job again when he comes back. So Sorry about that. And Floro has pitched in 2 minor league rehab outings, so I think he's someone to pick up now if he's available. It's just kind of the spec play, just because he had the job last year. So
yeah, I like Bender's skills, but he has been shaky so far this year. Last night, so if it was the 2019 ball, that would have been a blown save and a loss for Anthony Bender. Instead, it was I think it was a 107.9 mile an hour rocket to left center that the Washington announcer was like, oh, that got knocked down by the wind and the mush ball. Yes. Off the bat of Yadiel Hernandez. 9th inning, Michael Franco hits a ball down the line. He stands and watches and poses thinking that's out. Instead, it hits the top of the wall. He has to settle for a single. Next guy got out anyhow, so it didn't really matter. But it was pretty obvious that these hitters think they got it and they don't have it. Bender had pitched 2 days in a row, so Sulser got the save today. He could also be part of the mix. It could be just it could be David Bell all over again here with this team.
It could be. Don Mattingly historically likes to stick with one guy.
He does.
So
that's true.
So that may be in Floro's favor if he returns and gets the first opportunity back. But he's certainly got a wealth of options to turn to. Anthony Bass has saved games in the past. Richard Blyer's got a really high ground ball rate. Sulser, you mentioned.
Yep.
Save games. So, I'm surprised the saves actually haven't been spread around more, just because Sulser's been pitching so well to start the year. Bender's not striking out as many people as it was last year. He only has 4 Ks and 6 2/3. So we'll see. We'll see how we go. We'll see how he does over the next week or so.
Yeah. Texas was wild. Joe Barlow, they named as the closer, and then Matt Bush got the next save anyhow.
Yeah. Barlow's interesting. I was totally avoiding him all draft season.
Yes.
I was very against drafting him just because, the 5.8 career walks per 9 in the minors. He overperformed his xERA and FIP last year. Seems like he got kind of lucky, but he's been really good this year. And one thing to note with Barlow, I talked about with Rob DiPietro on his podcast, was he's throwing his slider a lot more this year. 59% compared to 41% last year. His velocity is up on the pitch too. Basically, his fastball just was not effective at all. So he's throwing that much less, and so far it's yielded great results. He's struck out 8 in 5 1/3 with only 1 walk. So, and walks are my biggest concern with him. So as long as he's not walking anyone, I'm pretty optimistic with Barlow.
Right. And with Barlow, he had pitched Thursday, got fully warmed up Friday, but then didn't come into the game. So on Saturday, he wasn't available. Monday, he's warming up with a 3-2 lead, and the Rangers score. And Matt Bush pitched the 8th inning, and the Rangers scored 3 runs. So they killed the save opportunity. It was all of a sudden 6-2. So pitched in a non-save situation. Yesterday, obviously, they didn't win, so wasn't relevant, but something to watch for there, and see like if anything changes with that. But I'm kind of confident that Barlow is the guy now. Yeah.
I just thought, they invested so much money in the free agents. They signed Semien and Corey Seager and John Gray. Why would they go into the season with this closer with all these, aspirations for turning the team around with, a closer who has 29 innings of big league experience?
Right.
Well, obviously that experience was important last year. They're still waiting for Jose Leclerc, Jonathan Hernandez to come back. Greg Holland didn't work out. So right now Barlow's by far the best option.
I think so too. Stay in the division. Oakland. Lou Trevino has a real COVID IR stint, not just the 2-day one that we've seen a lot of players. Danny Jimenez has come in and gotten 4 saves during this stretch. And let's face it, who is Lou Trevino to hold on to that job and not lose a job due to this anyhow? It's not like teams are dumb out there and like, oh, we're going to trade for your closer because he's a closer. if he's just a middling reliever, who cares if he once was the closer? Jimenez could just keep that job.
Yeah, that's fair. I did actually. I drafted Trevino in the main, and I picked up Danny Jimenez last week just in case. You know, I still believe they'll turn back to Trevino when he comes back.
Right.
But I don't know. You know, Jimenez has been pitching really well. You know, it was like who?
Right. I was drafting like Domingo Acevedo in the 30th round as my sleeper guy, but it's definitely not him.
Yep. Up next too, yeah. But Jimenez has come in, you know, like you said, saved 4 games, hasn't been scored upon through 8 innings. So, I mean, they might just keep him in the role. So, was fortunate to pick him up last year. He was the most picked up player in the main event last week, and I was on the cheaper end. I think the cheapest he went for was 21, and I was lucky to get him for 22. So
I used the Fred Zinke approach, you know, try to bid the second place bid and hope that wins. So well done.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that'll be interesting to monitor. I was actually made the mistake of not starting him this week too, because I had Michael Fulmer and Jimenez and Trevino, who both had games on Tuesday, and you know, one of my early mistakes of my main event journey has been make sure you're on top of your lineup on Tuesdays too, for those games, and not just Monday. So unfortunately, I left Michael Fulmer in my lineup and not Jimenez, so I missed out on the save. So
that's a bummer.
If that comes back to bite me.
Yeah,
hopefully not.
Fulmer's a good pitcher. I'm convinced that, but he's just not getting the role right now. Although after Tuesday's bizarre finish, maybe that'll change eventually. Not today. The Twins are up 7-1 in the bottom of the 8th, so I don't think it's going to happen today. But Gregory Soto could be termed as unlucky because of that error that allowed 2 runs in, but he also walked the first 2 batters of that inning, which is what Gregory Soto does.
Yeah, I think it was 8 straight balls. One of them should have been a strike, but that did not set the tone for the inning well. So I wouldn't be surprised. Fulmer mixes in a lot more. They kind of, I think again about 13, 14 saves last year. So I would expect about the same, maybe 15, maybe a few more.
Right.
As the season goes on, but he was someone I targeted towards the end of my main event draft, just to kind of support, as that third spec guy for ancillary save support. So
for sure. Soto has 3 saves. He is the GMLI leader, but the WPA leader is Fulmer for Detroit's bullpen there. So we could see some movement there if he continues to be wild. Emilio Pagan he pitched the 8th the other day, I saw, but he also had a couple of saves over the weekend. What's your take on the Minnesota Twins bullpen?
Yeah, I'm on Team Duffran, which is Duffy and Duran. That was my little nickname for them. Just because Pagan, I think he blew a save in that appearance where he came on in the 8th.
Yeah, I think so
gave
too.
Gave up the home run. And 1.7 homers per 9 for his career. That's why I always was on Duffy. As soon as they made that trade of Taylor Rogers, I was like, Duffy's going to be the guy. And then Yohan Duran, comes in, starts, blowing batters away with his high velocity and his huge upside. So, I think he'll eventually mix in. I think they kind of want to still keep him in low leverage to start the year. But yeah, I don't know. I've been kind of off Pagan, but right now I kind of have him, in that closer chair, just kind of a low security closer,
right,
as opposed to Duran and Duffy. But I do think Duffy and Duran will mix in, especially if he continues giving up home runs.
For sure. Meanwhile, as Sean points out, Colin Pache is in right now for the save opportunity for the Rays. Now, Kittredge pitched yesterday, so I don't think this is totally Rays being Rays. I think some of it is also just and if I recall correctly, Kittredge threw a lot of pitches.
20 pitches yesterday. If you go to our closer grid, if you scroll down below kind of our grid and the reliever stats, you can filter by team and see the last 7 days of bullpen usage, where it lists their pitch count and kind of the results of the game. So, Kittredge threw 20 pitches yesterday. Rayleigh pitched the last 2 days. Whistler worked 27 pitches on Wednesday. So, yeah, this isn't. I don't even have Post in there, so I have to add him.
Yep. It's always that's just the thing. Fireisen pitched 2 innings today. Beeks pitched 2 innings today. He's in line to get the win. Who is in line? When did they Rays score their other run? I could be wrong about that one. Hold off on signing that too quickly. But it's just the Rays. That part is being the Rays. They get these guys that people don't know about, and you just look at their ERAs. Jeffrey Springs has a .93 ERA. Jason Adam is 1.13. Beeks hasn't given up a run this year. Neither is Fireisen. I mean, they keep on mowing people down.
Yeah, I think really the only one who hasn't been effective has been Chris Mazza. He's kind of gotten blown up, but that might be injury related. But yeah, they're going to spread the saves around. We're going to see every single one of these guys probably pick up a save and more that we haven't even heard of yet. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think they had 13 guys get saves last year, something like that. Yeah, it's crazy.
3 straight years they've had over 10 relievers record a save.
That's just what they do. Any other bullpens you want to highlight from your latest article, or just relievers that we should be keeping an eye on here before we move on?
I do want to mention one more reliever, Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. Is yet to allow a run this season. I think it's 0.16 whip. Throws heat. His velocity is up. He even topped out at 101 miles an hour this season. Some savvy main event participants have already picked him up last week. I saw 8 people pick him up. So
wow.
With Gallegos kind of imploding in his last appearance, we'll see if this week if Helsley gets an opportunity or not, because that'll just drive his price way up. But we know now that Oliver Marmol, the new Cardinals manager, employs the closer by calculation, where he looks at all various things like swing planes and matchups and who's on the opposing team's bench and things like that. I thought that was just fascinating. Katie Wu had a really great article about that on The Athletic.
Yeah,
I highly recommend. So I really am intrigued by Helsley with the added velo, and I'm kind of he's already in my queue for leagues to pick up this weekend. So I'm kind of hoping he doesn't get a save opportunity before then, because we could be looking at triple digit bids.
Yeah, for sure. Although it's funny, Gallegos has been kind of the man. I mean, he had the rough outing Monday, but other than that, he has been used as a closer so far, which is interesting. But, Marmol says he looks at all that, and then he goes to Gallegos anyhow. So
that's very true. Yep.
Yeah. But then again, Gallegos is a very good pitcher too, Monday notwithstanding. But that might be part of it there. We're going to talk about Ryan's main event team next. But before we do that, got a quick note from Vivid Seats. Baseball is back. That's right. An entire glorious season, all 162 games. And with live events resuming, you can actually be there to catch all the action in person with Vivid Seats. Every backdoor slider, every round tripper, and every doubleheader can be experienced live. And with Vivid Seats rewards, you can start earning free tickets from your very first purchase. Just buy, collect stamps, and redeem. It's that easy. From behind the dugout to upper level, Vivid Seats has you covered for all the games that matter to you. Pro tip. Buy tickets for your whole group. Split the bill and make progress towards your free ticket even faster. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats. Life happens live. Also, the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast is always broadcast on the Blue Wire Network. Here are a couple ads from them. All right, and we are back. And we are talking with Ryan Rufe. I'm Jeff Erickson. We're talking closers. We're going to pivot to Ryan's NFBC main event team, which is now 14th overall. It started at 15th today. It's up to 14th, Ryan. Big success.
That's exciting. Yeah, it's been a good start. It's an encouraging start. It's my first year participating in the main event. Qualified for it through a Fanball DFS contest last year.
Yep.
Which NFBC is, partnering with them again this season to, with those qualifiers. So I highly encourage you to participate in those. But yeah, it's a nice start. I'm encouraged, but I realize there's still a lot of work to do. There's still, 23 weeks left of the season. I have some deficiencies that I need to address, which is really just hard in such a stacked league full of excellent, fantasy players. Vlad Sedler's in my league, Abdul Madani, Zach Waxman. It's just Chris Liss is in my league too.
Yep.
So
Larry Schechter's in that league. Wow.
Yeah, it's just stacked. It's insane. So, my work's cut out for me, but I'm really happy with the start. I'm working really hard. Aside from the lineup gaffe I had that we discussed earlier, it's been nice. And I've really put in the work. And the fact that I made the decision to document my journey through a series of articles. Could read. Went out a few weeks ago. NFBC Main Event Fever Dream was my team name, and it's just really, I'm really just holding myself accountable. It's forcing me to really, not stay fully engaged, every single week. Really put thought behind each decision I'm making, not only with my lineup, but through fab decisions and things like that. So yeah, I think this will help me,
Sure. Writing about it. Well, yeah. When you write about a team, it makes you think about it a lot more closely. You think about all the issues. I think it really focuses you to, it forces you to focus on exactly what you need and what you don't need. Because it's up for everybody else to look at too, and you're especially motivated. Oh man, I don't want to look terrible with that.
And I'm making notes every week. I'm documenting okay, so I made this lineup decision for this reason. I dropped this person for this reason.
Mm-hmm.
These are who else I was considering and things like that. So what I'm going to do at the each quarter point of the season is just kind of recap how that quarter went. I'm going to recap the decisions that I made through fab and through the lineups, where I'm at in the standings, how I'm feeling, all the mistakes I've made, and what I've learned. So hopefully this will, help encourage others to participate, try to qualify, or just, pay the $1,750
right.
entry. And hopefully someone will take something from it and learn something.
So who are the players that you want to thank that helped you win the qualifier? Like, who got you into this in the first place?
I remember it was a Max Scherzer start when he was still with the Nationals. He was, it was against the Diamondbacks, so it was a pretty chalky decision. So I knew I would need to diversify with my hitters, and I had an Ohtani and Trout stack. I can't remember who else. I think I had DJ Stewart from the Orioles, who I don't even think he's on a major league roster.
I think he's a former Oriole at this point. Yes,
but he hit a home run. I think he had some sort of a platoon advantage. It was, I think he hits lefties really well, right? Or maybe righties. So I started him, and he hit a homer. So I think he was kind of the difference maker. So
nice, very nice. So this year with this team, where are you strong? Are you weak anywhere? What are your major concerns?
Yeah, major concern is power. I have Vladimir Guerrero, I have Josh Bell, but if either of them miss any significant time this year, that's really going to hurt me. So I was probably too hyper focused on steals during the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So
as were a lot of people. You saw. I mean, if you saw like some of the stuff that happened, looking at some of the drafts, like Mike Trout's off to an awesome start now. I guarantee you, everybody passed on Trout to try to get someone that could run is regretting that decision right about now. Now you took Vlad, so you actually drafted the first round knowing you weren't getting stolen bases, so you had to adjust it later on. But taking the value that Vlad does provide, and I think that's probably suited you well so far.
Yeah, and Phil Dussault I think it was on the Pull Hitter podcast, made a really good point, which I really wrote down and was reminding myself before the draft. Every pick you take, if you don't address something, you're really kind of narrowing your picks in subsequent rounds. So I knew drafting Vlad, who doesn't provide many steals, I'm going to have to take steals in one of my next two picks. So Starling Marte was my round 2 pick. And starting pitching is super important in the main event. So Shane Bieber was my first pitcher drafted in the 3rd round. I'm a little concerned with him. But overall pitching is the strength of my team. Jordan Romano is kind of the anchor for saves.
Yeah.
Alec Manoah, Nate Eovaldi, Jordan Montgomery.
I'm glad that you got the company memo that if you represent RotoWire in any way, shape, or form, you must have Alec Manoah in the main event. So good job there. Well done.
Yep.
And today is Alec Manoah Day, and that's
although I was bummed because Chris Liss went back to back. He took Kershaw and Luis Garcia, who I really wanted.
Yep.
So
Garcia is another family one there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So power is kind of the deficiency of my team. Pitching is the strength. So that's kind of what I'm, working on power, through the waivers rest of the season.
And it's tough to find power through the waivers right now. It's tough. Well, and that's why, if you missed on Taylor Ward and everybody or if you hit on I should say it like this: if you hit on Taylor Ward, man, you're feeling pretty good about yourself right about now. Another grand slam yesterday. He's batting leadoff. He's only stolen 1 base and been caught twice, but at least he's trying and he's getting on base all the time. He's even walking more. A lot of good things coming from him.
Yeah, I was able to get him in the online championship, but unfortunately, in the main event, the 15-team main event with a league full of, excellent owners, Brad Miller was my power target this last week. So, not much out there.
Yeah, not much out there indeed. By the way, for those that were tracking Mariners Rays, it was Ryan Thompson that came in to get the last out. So he got the save, faced 1 batter, got the strikeout there. 5 pitches, done. Nice day.
Yep. Hopefully you started him, right?
Yeah, that rostered by exactly nobody.
0 people. Yep.
Kyle Tucker, as pointed out by Sean, has a pinch hit home run. So even if he didn't start, he came in for Jose Siri, who is in an 0 for 18 streak. Tucker hit the 2-run homer, and they're up now 3-1. So we might see another Houston save opportunity by the time this podcast ends. We'll see. They're in the bottom of the 8th. Probably won't see it by the time we end, but that's all right. How's your fab budget looking so far? How much have you spent?
I think $60. I have $940 left, so haven't gone too crazy either. I don't think I've bid more than $50-some on the player yet. So I'm sure, when the Max Meyer gets called up by Miami, he'll go for, triple digits.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see. But I've been pretty conservative this year thus far.
Yeah. Watch to see if someone drops O'Neal Cruz, if they get impatient waiting for him to get the call, something like that. That'll be like a Fabopalooza sort of outing there, but we'll see.
My stash was Shane Baz, so it sounds like he's going to come back in early June. So I'll have to hold him for another month, but we'll see if injuries allow me to do that.
Yeah, in one league, Tatis is my stash in the Vegas main. Got him in the 11th round, 11.3, and wasn't planning on getting him in that draft, but felt like that was the right price. So we'll see. We'll see how that works. And then, of course, though, got other injuries. Do you hold on to Josh Rojas this whole time? I have. So that's 2 stashes. Then a pitcher gets hurt. And next thing you know, we tell people don't have more than 1 stash. And I see all these red crosses there. And, next thing you know, I'm up to 5 or 6 stashes. And makes it really hard. Yeah,
it could really affect your ability to stream. You're leaving, guys in there with 5-game weeks because you're so limited on your bench when you
Right.
could be adding someone who has a 7-game week. So yeah, it makes it tough. I'm not sure. I mean, obviously you're going to hold on to Tatis till he's in there, but I don't know about Rojas. That's an interesting one.
Yeah. And the thing is that after you hold him for a couple of weeks, then like I'm almost there. I'm going to still hold on him, but then there's the opportunity cost of who you could have picked up. I could have gotten Danny Jimenez. That would have been pretty handy to have. Or, and we were in on the bids for Taylor Ward, but we got beat on him. We got beat for Stephen Kwan. There's always that cost. And, I really do regret not going higher on Ward. I had like $75 bids on him in both leagues, or at least in one of them, and we didn't get him. So that one's a bummer. We were close at least, but that gets you nothing. Sometimes the Fred Zinke bid doesn't help you.
Yeah, my big bid last week was Wilmer Flores, and that was I bid way too little. Wasn't even close. So yeah,
someone cut Wilmer Flores, huh?
Yeah, he was on waivers.
Interesting. Question from Twitter from C Bowman. He goes, "Can I ask you if you're frustrated with the DH playing time non-bump for Will Smith, or is this what you expected?" I expected him to play a little bit more. He's sitting like once every 4 days. He's got 2 homers, 11 RBI. He scored 8 runs. It's not, it's an 808 OPS. He's not killing me. But I also took him, I think, at the end of the 4th round ahead of Buxton in a league. And that, speaking of opportunity cost, when you go early catcher, you expect a little bit more. And I'm not quite getting that just yet.
Yeah, I was an early catcher too in the main event. I took JT Realmuto in round 4. So yeah, I'm feeling that too. And yeah, it's a little frustrating if you have Will Smith, but that you have to remember too that the Dodgers lineup is just stacked.
Right.
They got a ton of hitters that are excellent. So
yeah. Foxborough News asked, "Put Acuña in my lineup tonight?" Yes, absolutely. If you've had Acuña this long, put him in. I don't even care if he's maybe not necessarily ready. Just put him in. You never know. You drafted him early for a reason. Get him in there. If he's playing, get him in there. I'm looking at Real Muto. I mean, he only has 3 RBI, but he's hitting 303 at least, and he's gotten 12 runs. So he's done some things that you just want a little bit more on the power side. I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, a couple steals, and the plate appearance advantage from the catcher position. Him, Dalton Varsho is another one who's going to get over 600 plate appearances. It seems like, such an advantage, especially in leagues where you start 2 catchers. So,
yeah. Finally, you're a Cleveland fan. You're from Cleveland. What's your thoughts on the early starts for the Guardians? Franmil Reyes had a huge struggle early. He's kind of had a couple lately, but this team, they were scoring runs early on, not as much lately.
Yeah, they're 6th in the league offensively with a 253 batting average, 7th with a 405 slugging. Much of that is thanks to Jose Ramirez, who's unbelievable. They're on a 6-game losing streak. They've lost 9 of the last 12. So it's a little discouraging stretch. But surprisingly, a few kind of unheralded contributors. Owen Miller's been really good.
Yeah.
He's got a 1,300 OPS, leads the league with 8 doubles. Turned out to be a much better option at first base than Bobby Bradley. So that was a nice surprise. Stephen Kwan, too, currently out with hamstring tightness, but had a just unbelievable start to the season. Hitting 2nd ahead of Jose Ramirez, so should score a ton of runs. Probably won't contribute much power or steals, but good average, good runs. Offensively, we're off to a nice start. You mentioned Reyes, who's not off to a nice start. Seems very streaky. He homered in back-to-back games towards the end of last week, and then just, back to sucking again. So, Ahmed Rosario's off to a slow start too. So, hopefully those guys turn it around. I'm encouraged by the offense, especially from Miller. Miles Straw, really nice table setter as the leadoff man. Good OBP. He's got 4 steals already. So, And Josh Naylor, another great story coming back from a gruesome leg injury last year. Kind of hope he gets time this season. I'd like to see what he can do with 500 at bats, but we'll see if he gets there.
Right.
Obviously you don't want to overwork him coming off such a bad injury, but he does have double-digit home run upside, decent average with regular plate appearances. But keep in mind he hasn't had much big league experience thus far. His highest OPS is 718 in his rookie year, so I would temper expectations, but kind of hope for the best with Naylor.
Yeah. Two pitchers I want to ask you about. Emmanuel Clause hasn't been dialed in just yet. There was a lack of save opportunities early on this season, and I think that might have had something to do with it a little bit. But when he has pitched, it's been kind of dicey so far. Any concerns with him?
Not yet. Like you said, he hasn't really pitched too much thus far. He's 2 for 3 in save opportunities, so he's really had a couple shaky outings, but he was so good towards the end of last year. I mean, he walked like 2 guys in the second half. I mean, I'm not too concerned with him yet, but I would like to see him, get in there a little bit more often than Terry Francona has used him thus far. So,
okay. And then the other is obviously Shane Bieber. Velocity is down significantly so, especially from 2020, where I think it's almost 4 miles an hour down from 2020, about 2 miles from last year. But the results have still been all right. At least ERA and WHIP have been all right. He is walking fewer batters. He's striking out a lot fewer batters, getting fewer swings and misses. Long term, Are you concerned with him?
A little bit. Like you said, he's still getting the job done, from a ERA WHIP perspective. But like you said, his swing and strikes down 3% from 15.8 to 12.8. His strikeout rate is down from 12.5 K per 9 to under 9 K per 9. So it's just it's a little concerning. BABIP's a little bit low too. He's getting more fly balls this year. So I'm a little concerned that he'll start to regress, as the season goes on. But he's such a bulldog. He's really competitive. He's clearly talented. So probably not getting what we had hoped for. But remember, he's coming off missed half a season last year with a shoulder strain. So, maybe he's still ramping up. Maybe he's gonna, throw a little bit harder as the season goes on. But it's just kind of, in that ramp up phase still. Surprisingly, if you look at Cleveland's other starters, both Zach Plesac and Aaron Savale have yet to pitch more than 4 innings in a start.
Yeah.
So it might be kind of being conservative with their starters. McKenzie finally went over 5 innings in his last start. So
yeah, he did. And I remember that game, the White Sox game last week, the second game of the doubleheader, he couldn't get out of the 5th, despite facing a total JV lineup from the White Sox in the second game of that doubleheader. It was very frustrating watching that. But he couldn't throw strikes that 5th inning either. So I saw why they did it. But and especially, given his injury history, given, time of the season, not surprised, but it was kind of frustrating a little bit rostering a Cleveland starter not named Bieber so far. But it'll come back. And Quantrill's now back from his COVID trip, so they're back at full capacity. Anything else Guardian-wise you want to talk about before we sign off?
No, I think we covered most everything. One minor leaguer to monitor is Daniel Espino in the minors.
Yes.
Double-A right now, but I wonder if he'll kind of push them to make his debut this year. Just striking everyone out. So
yeah, absolutely. So put that on your watch list, and maybe see if they. I imagine they'll go the full progression, put him at AAA first, and then give him a chance later this season. But watch to see that minor league promotion. Sometimes teams wait a month or so and they start making those moves, moving those guys up the ladder a little bit. So if that happens, I would watch for that too. Ryan, really want to thank you jumping on with me today, especially because I gave you like 0 notice. So I especially appreciate that. You're doing anytime. You're doing a great job with the closer grid and closer encounters and with your main event team. Bring home the cheddar. If I don't do it, I want you to do it.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
All
We'll
right.
see each other near the top of the standings towards the end. That's what
Meet you there.
counts.
Sounds like a plan. All right, everybody. That's going to wrap up today's podcast. Thanks everybody for chiming in. Appreciate all the comments and the questions, and of course, you guys listening. Please, if you can, subscribe here and click that like button on if you're streaming with us live. Otherwise, please subscribe wherever you get your podcast. We really do appreciate it. Tomorrow, we got Clay and Todd with 2-star starters. Tune in then. Take care.